units. As we've rented a couple of units out, the deferred maintenance from the past years have kind of crept up, and we've had some issues building-wise, sprinkler-wise, water-wise, and it's been very difficult to figure out the monthly cash flow in and out and to predict where we're going to be going into the future. So the best thing that we could do at this point, because of the up and down and ebbs and flows, we took an average of the last 6 months, and the monthly average has been a loss of about $760 per month. In September, we are going to be at a negative $1,560 as far as cash flow. We have some large bills to pay in October. That's why you see the jump up to approximately $5,400. And then from that point forward, a conservative, no major issues, no major expenses or maintenance needed, this is where we're going to be by April of this coming year. This is approximately 1 full year since we have volunteered to work on the board, so I figured a 1-year look ahead with just using the monthly average. Can you put up the next slide? So this is a best case scenario. Our experience up to this point has shown that when a vacant unit is rented, after years of deferred maintenance and systems are fired back up, heat, sprinklers, water systems, etc., something mechanical seems to go wrong, leaving a large repair bill to go along with it. So we bring a tenant in, and the money we receive from the tenant plus is immediately spent on making the unit worthy of staying in for that particular tenant. So if you can put the next slide up. The purpose of Spirit on the River, the reason it was originally founded was to help Unity financially. The rental income profits at the end of the year were to be tithed over to Unity. The problem or challenge with that over the last few years was the amount of vacancies that we had in the plaza. However, the financial support has shown itself in allowing the rent for Unity to be really, really low. So the financial support Spirit has given has been approximately 1/5 of the market rent, which would be between $7,000 and $9,000 a month in open market for a space of this size. Unity has been paying $1,600 a month for the past 2 to 3 years. So that is the financial support that's been given from Spirit to Unity, I guess you could say. If you can put up the next slide. At this point, we see 3 real viable options that we want to present to the community. If you can. The first option would be selling units 4 through 7, which are the preschool up to Lev 8 laboratories, which moved in next to us a few months ago. The estimated sales price would be about $800,000, and the net profit, after paying off mortgage, realtor commissions, and other things necessary to do with the cost of closing, we would profit about $480,000. That would, at that point, release Unity to be owned by itself, and Spirit would be dissolved. We would no longer be the landlord of the plaza. So that's option 1. Option 2 would be to sell. Can you go back to option 1 for a minute? I do need to present the challenge with option 1. If you look at, from an investment standpoint, any real estate investor coming into this particular plaza is going to look at the challenges with the plaza. Number 1, the deferred maintenance on the building and the individual units. Number 2, the fact that it is set up as a condo complex, and each unit has its own associated condo fee. So somebody buying those units is now going to be responsible to pay 4 condo fees. They are going to have to deal with being part of an association, and the maintenance of the whole plaza is not going to be in their control. So that's, a lot of savvy investors don't want to get into a situation like that. They want to own the whole strip mall, per se, if you buy something like that. If you can go to the next option will be selling units 4 through 13. So 8 through 13 is actually the whole church and the additions to it. That would yield that sale price about 1.7 and a profit of about 1.3. Again, the church would then have that money, Spirit would transfer that money to Unity, and that would be the money that would be used for the next phase or the next step of buying, renting, or purchasing something else. And the third option, we keep all the units. We keep experiencing a monthly loss of $765. And by April of 2020, we're negative $10,000 in our account. I don't really know that this is an option. And again, these particular losses that you see here are not inclusive of the $12,000 to $15,000 worth of repairs that our liability insurance company is strongly recommending that we do. We did a few of them, kind of kept them at bay for a little bit, but we don't know if at any point in time they could drop our insurance coverage on the whole plaza, and then we'll be, it's not a good situation. So I hate to sound gloom and doom, but we're presenting you the real figures. These are the facts behind what we've uncovered and dug up over the last 6 to 8 months. And despite the enthusiasm, we got 2 units rented and things are going, it's been too long and too many issues have been allowed to happen to the building. We just are not able to catch up. We're digging in the soil, and there's no fertile soil to plant anything to start growing. That's the way I kind of look at it. It just seems to be getting worse and worse. And I feel as though as the board, it's morphed into board and property management. When something breaks or a sprinkler goes, somebody from the board is coming down to try to handle and help and work with these maintenance issues. The way that a property of this size and magnitude is typically managed is with a management company that specializes and has contractors set up to do all these types of repairs, and it can get done in a more timely fashion. And when you start renting to people that are paying, a decent amount for rent, they need answers and they need things fixed quickly. So, any questions at this point? Yes.
We're streaming audio because we've been having technical streaming issues all morning.
Do you have anything to say? Okay.
I'm glad we have a couple of new renters.
Yes.
Can you please explain to everyone how it happened that we lost 2 renters?
Lost. Which 2 renters
2
did
units
we lose?
are, there were situations that happened with Divine Paradigm Center, the photographer that was there, where they left and not completely out of their own choice initially.
I'm not aware of what happened with the photographer. That was before I was on the board. Do you know? Do you know Malik, the photographer? Malik is our lovely liaison.
Yes.
Okay, he helps us.
The situation was that the rent that they were asked originally was on the price that they were supposed to pay. When the new board took ownership of Spirit, we went to everybody that was renting, for us to be able to get the rent that we need to maintain the properties. We needed to, when the lease was to renew, we let them know what was the new price for the rent. So when they noticed the new price of the rent, they decided not to stay. Those units, the last 2 units that got empty, the agreement is rent is including bills. What we were getting for rent did not even pay for half of the bills that we needed to pay out of that. Bills like utilities? Yeah, utility bills, yes. So the rent that we were getting for them to rent the place were not even paying the bills that we needed to pay for those units to be rented.
So basically what happened was we made such an attractive deal for people to come rent the space that it was too attractive, and it hurt us in the long run. We also had, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had a case where the dance studio, the person who was leasing that from us kind of just like ran out on us. And yeah, so we had that happen too. So when, as Malik was saying, when we brought the rents up to even beginning close to market value, folks chose not to renew, as was their right. Yes, Nancy.
Is there a way to rewrite the condo association so that the condo members, even though there might be fewer, pay a proportionate amount for the square footage, so that if we used the first option and sold the extra buildings but the church that we don't have now, if that could somehow be renegotiated so that they don't have to pay separate condo fees?
That's a big question. There are other owners in the plaza that would have to chime in on that. The owners that own the first 3 units as you pull into the parking lot. It would have to be a meeting with the association, and the total cost to run the plaza, let's just say snow removal, landscaping, things that the condo fee covers, those costs are not going to go down. So if we rewrote, the church would have to end up paying more, and those 3 units would have to pay more as well. We have approached the management company that manages the plaza, and they're very familiar with the owners of the other 3 units. We initially asked if they were interested, potentially down the road, if we were to sell, were they interested in buying so they could then own a larger portion of the plaza? And they said, actually, to the contrary, we're interested in potentially selling the units. So that opens up another option, which would require working with the owner of the other 3 units to potentially sell the entire strip, which I believe would be an easier investment for any type of real estate investor. They could buy, dissolve the condo fee completely because they are one owner now. They could leave the condo docs in place if they ever wanted to sell the unit separately, but it would be a lot less cost of ownership for one person to own all of the units in the complex, all 13, our 10, and the 3 on the other side.
We'll take one more question around this, and then we'll have Stan come share about the church's position, and then we'll take some more questions after that.
Historically speaking, when they made the decision to make this investment, it didn't have a crystal ball back then. It turned out to be probably not a great idea given the nature of the construction. This was a kind of an inferior built construction back when they did it that we're seeing. But I'm wondering, if we were to stay here, try to stay, sell the whole thing, maybe do a lease back, is that an option where we could, I don't know, write something? I don't know how you do this, because you want to ensure we have parking, you want to ensure that you have the things that you need to function as a church in a commercial situation that may have other enterprises that kind of conflict with what a church, that's going to be the tricky part, right?
Yes.
You've probably talked about this.
Yes.
It'd be nice to stay here because we put a lot into it. And if we could do it with some security of our future, holding on to the amenities that we have without serious inroads on that. Is that kind of the direction we're going?
We've talked about that, and the challenge with that would be whoever the new owner is, can the church afford market rent? Can Unity afford $7,000 to $8,000 a month to stay here, regardless of who the owner is? Because that's market. There are other creative things you can think about, but it's oh yeah, we'll sell it to you for 200,000 less and give us a lease for 2,500 for 24 months, but you're just kind of kicking the can down the road, and ultimately, whoever owns the spot is going to want to achieve market rent for all the square footage in here, and that's the toughest part. If we did want to stay, the rent would be going up about 4 times what it is right now.
That's a great segue for you, Stan.
Thank you, Ogun. I have to say that August was a pretty slow month for us. It typically is, people take their vacations and attendance is down, and so our worship income is generally down. This year, compared to last year, we are down about $23,000 in income coming into the church. So we've had to budget against, we expected that, we budgeted against that. So we're running very tight as far as the finances go, but we're staying above water. Even though August was a bad month, we expect the rest of the year to be better. We've reduced our administration expenses. We've reduced our music expenses and all the things that we do to put a service together. And we expect that we'll have enough money to finish the year. One thing we're doing different than last year is we are paying the rent that we've agreed to pay to Spirit. And that's one of the reasons there was a shortfall in August, is our income didn't quite cover that, even though we've reduced all our other expenses. So we've tried to run as tight a ship as we possibly can under difficult circumstances. And, we salute the people from Spirit who are dealing with an even more difficult situation. So that's basically all I can say is we're facing difficulty with a realistic viewpoint and adjusting our expenses accordingly. Yes?
Can you tell us what the Edward J. Jones account is? Repeat the question.
Barbara asked about the Edward Jones account. That's a brokerage account. We were given a gift as part of an estate donation of stock. In basically the stock we were given was exclusively Exxon stock. As a board, we decided to diversify a bit and try to invest in a more socially conscious portfolio, so we've adjusted the contents of that portfolio a little bit. And that's part of money that basically is a reserve for us. We have chosen not to tap into it yet.
Any other questions?
I have a question to go back to Spirit.
Yes.
So, in line with your talk about, in line with your talk of attachment, non-attachment, we all, I think, can agree that we love this space. But it doesn't really seem that it's going to make sense going forward. And just so that you guys probably have thought about it more than what we've been in just the last 10, 15 minutes, what would the process be if we decided to sell everything that we own here, including the church space? What would be the process of finding a new home? Because that might settle some fears that people have around it.
I think we'd have to put together a committee or a group that would figure out the timeline strategy of when we start looking for new space, perhaps. But on the flip side, it's very difficult to commit to a new space without having a committed buyer to buy what we have here. So I don't know how that looks. I haven't really visioned that. I mean, we've been trying to figure out how to hold on because there is an attachment to the building and the space and whatnot. And we love the space, but the finances aren't loving us right now. That's the problem.
So let me speak to the process and timeline. And while the honest, factual answer is we don't know, in my experience, this is where great spiritual principle comes in. Once we make a choice about what is ours to do to move forward in terms of selling or not selling, once we come to a decision and make that, answer that question, because that's the really only question before us right now. The question before us is not where do we go next. The question is what do we do now? Once we answer that question, in my life experience and the life experience of anyone else I've ever spoken to who really puts these practices into play, is that the rest falls into place. Okay? So here's the factual things around this. We're not going to affirm our way out of this financial situation. Okay, it's been in existence for a long time, and this is where it is. So we have the facts. We get to see it as an opportunity for us to answer this question, and when we answer it, again, from that place of, as I spoke to about today, non-attachment or fear of lack or anything, we truly make it from an informed place of, what's the highest and best for our moving forward, then the rest is going to take care of itself. I don't have any doubts about that whatsoever. That involves what he says. Yes, getting a team together to go look at what else is out there. We don't necessarily wait till we have a buyer to do that. We start that once we're clear about, yes, we're going to put this place on the market, and while we're waiting for a buyer to show up, we're going to start looking to see what else is out there. The way it's always worked in my life is when you do both at the same time, somehow they always seem to land in the same place at the same time. The synchronicity happens. But we got to come from a place of clear consciousness about moving forward. And yes, I know about the attachments to this place. I know about the blood, sweat, and tears and toil and dollars that went into making this place what it was and what it is currently. And at the same time, it's about, as it is within our personal and spiritual lives, if what we've been doing all along isn't working to achieve the experience we want to achieve, we got to do something different. We have to shift our consciousness. We have to shift how we show up. And that's neither a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what works. Okay? So, any other questions before I share one other thing? Peter, then Mickey, then Amy. And then in the back here. That piece keeps coming off. Keeps coming off. All right, I got it. We'll just leave it off. There we go. How about that?
Hi, everyone. I wanted to give an opinion, not ask a question.
Sure.
In my opinion, the option of continuing to do what we've been doing is not an option, and we should acknowledge that and move on. The option of selling some of the units and retaining ownership of the ones that the church is using is an option as far as it looks right now. I'd like to see us investigate, even more. Is that really financially sustainable? Is that something we can do? Because I love this place and I would like to see us stay here. If that's not really going to work for us financially, then we, I think, are forced to sell and choose another place, probably.
Okay.
So that's
Thank you.
That's my opinion.
And I think Christian sort of kind of answered that question already. The reason we've been able to be here is because the church pays about $1,600 in rent, which is not anywhere near market value for this space. And if we do sell just the rental portions, or we sell to someone more, then what may we be asked to pay rent-wise? So, one of the things we possibly could do is, as we I don't know, let me ask this question of you. If we make this decision, we're gonna put this on the market, can we put on the market our entire half, or can we put on the market, at the same time we put on the market just the rental properties, can we put both on, see who bites first? What are the pros and cons of that approach?
I would just address the first option is a great option for Unity on the River because it would pay off the mortgage and give us some cash to operate. And the problem with that option is that you have a very defined market for those 4 units. Who would be interested? Would it be the individual tenants? Would it be one person that just has a need for those? And the timeline to do that could be a month, 12 months to a year and a half, we don't know. That's why we think that selling the entire and putting the entire facility on the market is the best option because how long can we maintain the cash flow? So.
It's a matter of how negative can you really go? Who am I not going to pay next month for what bill? And the calls are starting to come in, and Peter and Paul, and nobody has money.
And to Sam's point, where we are operating right now is that the church in and of itself is at a place where we cannot sustain this option, this plan, for much longer. And we're talking months here. Yeah. Okay, we can't sustain it much longer given the income that we receive in terms of gifts and tithes and all that stuff. We're working with what we get. So we got to make the best choices based on that. Megan.
One thing, I've been coming here for about 20 years, a little bit less, and one thing about this space I know, and it is a beautiful space, and I am attached to it in some ways, which I shouldn't be, no attachments. I'm not attached.
Don't shit on yourself.
I'm not, boy, okay, 2 lessons learned. So one thing we've always been told in this space from different people coming in, different energy workers, is that we've got a lot of blocks here still in this space, energy coming from the highway. My opinion is that we have to do something. I guess we have to take a leap of faith either way. If we were to do it, how would it be decided? Is it going to be a vote? You just said it's going to be a few months. Okay, so we're going to do a vote. So my opinion is, Peter, yes, I say we sell the whole thing. Go to a space that has better energy.
And let's also remember that this community, the heart of this community is not the building. Yeah. I mean, we kind of know this, but then when we are faced with this opportunity, we go into that place of, but we did so much for this space. Back up to the beginning of that sentence. It's the we. It's the you. It's the people who've been part of this community since its inception, in the living room, in the basement of the bank, and wherever this place has been. It's always been the people. If we have to go meet in another space somewhere else, all the energy that you create and have created over the past 20-some years and create every Sunday, it's gonna be there too. Because we're moving, we're taking everybody with us. We're not leaving anyone behind here, okay? Like, it's not like we're going to sell the place and then say you can't show up at the new place. That's not, I say this, it sounds silly as it's coming out of my mouth, but I wanna say this out loud and make sure that you understand the community, the energy, the love, the consciousness. It's in this building because we brought it here and infused it here. We can do that anywhere else. Okay? The greatest story about this in the Bible is the story of Abraham. God told him, pick up where he was quite happy, go somewhere else, and then eventually, we're going to get you into this promised land place. And to Mickey's point, it was an act of faith. This church existed in other places before this building. And the reason the church existed in this building is because the energy and the consciousness and the spirit of what it was before it got into this building came with it. And it will continue to move with it as well. I think Amy was next, and then we got a hand back here, and then we go with Lisa.
Okay. I really needed the slide that was up there before because I was trying to get my head around that we have access to, was it 234,000?
23,400
All
something.
right, 23, okay.
Yeah.
I don't, the comma wasn't, because that's a little different. 23,000 as opposed to 2,334.
If it was
Okay.
234,000, we would not be having this discussion
Well, that's
right now.
why I was a little bit like, why do we have access to
Yeah.
this money?
No,
We're not
no,
using
no,
it.
no, no,
Okay,
no, no,
so
no.
that clarifies that question a little bit.
Okay.
But also to just making sure that we're in alignment with our bylaws, which I mean that as long as, if we're gonna make an expenditure, which is to sell the building,
I'm gonna get to that.
that we make sure that it is a member vote,
Yes,
and that we're
gonna-
informing our membership.
I'm gonna get to that. I was just taking questions, but yes, I will get to that in a minute or
Right.
two.
Yeah, but my question, when I was looking at the amount, which didn't have the
Okay.
comma in the right place, I was wondering why we had access to 234,000 and we weren't using it, so.
Oh no, if we had that, we'd be using it.
I was just looking for a little clarification on the 12 to 15,000 that the insurance company is holding over our heads. Is that for the church part? Is that for the rental units that aren't rented? And exactly what did part? I mean, if we knocked down from that wall over, I mean, what would happen? And where's that 12 and 15,000 that's hanging over our heads for? And which units?
So, again, Spirit on the River is the owner of the properties. And so Spirit on the River is responsible for all of the maintenance and repairs and liability for the tenants that rent here, including Unity on the River. And Spirit on the River has had several claims against the insurance company, one against frozen pipes, the air conditioner, ice fell off the roof, damaged the air conditioner, and we've had several other issues. The insurance assessor came in, went with our liaison, Malik, and walked the properties and said, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Again, most of those are recommendations. Several of them are mandatory, one of them being build a roof over the air conditioning unit so that ice doesn't fall off and damage them. And then we have another claim, which they might not pay because they indicated that it should be done. Some of the other bigger issues that are recommended, but really, in our opinion, should be done, is the parking lot. The parking lot drainage is not right. It needs to be excavated, needs to be raised up, it needs to have proper drainage. The curbing and the sidewalks need repair. Really should be, even, this is not even on the insurance list, but gutters put around so that we prevent the ice damage. I mean, there are so many issues. There's only about, the 12 to 15,000 is just what the insurance company indicated, but there's other ones that are beyond that that we haven't even labeled, and that's what our concern is here. Yes. Yeah, so we still have to address all, we have to address those, yeah.
Hang on, anyone who's not asked a question yet, let's go here and there you go.
I'm offering my opinion and my thoughts. Every week that I write the check for my pledge, I do it with a certain amount of hesitation, feeling like this is good money going after bad, for the reasons that we mentioned already. And it's not that I don't willingly and gratefully give my pledge, but I understand that when an individual, a family, or an organization has financial liabilities like we have, that it's very burdensome and it wears you down. And our board and many other people in this congregation have worked tirelessly to try to remedy the situation. So it feels like, I would feel like, if I were in their shoes, that it's an energy drain, and that it's like chasing something that you can't catch up with. So, and that leads to depression in many ways. So my feeling is that we need to, I'm trying to find the words that, I won't even go there. That we really need to make a decision, and that my feeling is that selling all of our properties, and perhaps approaching the other owners of the other units is a very good idea and should be looked into.
Okay, one more, Nancy, will be your last question, and then one more piece to share. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about you, Lisa. I'll come back to you. Lisa's the last, absolute last. Nancy.
Just a quick question. We're underpaying rent now. Were we to go out and rent other facilities, do we have the wherewithal to even meet a monthly rent? And so I feel that we need, as bad as the situation is here, we need to go out and do the market research first and see how much, assess our needs, how much or little space we need, and how much it's going to cost us to do that. Because if we're in a rental situation and we don't meet the rent, we're history, versus the little bit of latitude we have here. That's just a thought.
So that would all be part of the process of moving forward, reassessing exactly what we need. The market value that you quoted, $78,000, is for all the space that we have. Do we need all this space now? Right? So that's the question we really get to answer. What's out there to meet our needs potentially, and that will be part of the process. And we can do that at the same time. Again, in my experience, once we get clear about what is ours to do to move forward, the pieces will fall into place about it. Lisa, your last question.
I don't have a question, I have a comment as well. Thanks. So when you own property or you rent property, you have a financial responsibility. As a family person, you know your house, and this is our house. We have a financial responsibility. It does not feel well if we are able to, deciding who's going to get paid this month. That's a very uncomfortable feeling. It doesn't come from our core spiritually. And as hard as it is to move from this beautiful space, look at the opportunity we get to do. We get to bring us somewhere else and bring this energy to a more open space, and we can draw more people in. And I think it's an incredible opportunity that, maybe we're actually stuck on just being here when actually our path is to go somewhere and spread our light there.
Thank you, Lisa. And Mickey just reminded me of a point that has been raised that we somehow don't seem to be feeling a lot of joyful energy about it. We get to make $1 million. That's not small potatoes. And when I think back of, the original intention, and here's the thing about attachments and the way it looks. The original intention, I believe, and what I heard of, in terms of investing in this property, was to financially support us. Okay? Now, I don't know about you guys, but selling a place for $1 million feels like financial support. Okay? Now, what does that mean in terms of what's next for us? Of course, we figure that out along the way. Okay, we're not gonna make $1 million and take everyone on vacation to Barbados. That's not what we're gonna, right? That's not what we're gonna do, is it? Just asking to be sure, because that would be so cool. But the point I'm making is that can we perhaps expand our vision or expand our attachment or non-attachment to realize that perhaps, yes, selling the property is also meeting the original intention of this place to be financial support to this church. Okay? So what the board, we talked about was, time is of the essence. What we would like to do is next week,
The 15th.
no,
is the
15th,
date.
I'm not here next week. So the 15th, September 5th, sorry, September 20, wait. I am here next week. Next week. This is why I always have to have a calendar in front of me. Next week, September 15th, is when we want to vote on this. Okay? Now people are like, that's so quick. No, we've been telling you about this since our annual meeting in January. And we told you we will probably get to this point. Okay? So you've got new facts to work with, but they're not entirely new. They're not really entirely new. If anything, you've got some facts and numbers that basically reaffirmed where we were at the beginning of the year. And some more knowledge, some more know-how about the situation. So we're sharing this with you now. We're going to let you go home. We're going to let you remember what I said in my talk today. We only have audio on YouTube, so go re-listen to the talk a few times. We had some technical issues this morning. But the point of the matter is, are we open enough? Are we open enough? We didn't come back. We're going to vote on this next week. Our bylaws stipulate that when there's an expenditure outlay of finances that is above $50,000, the membership needs to vote on it. So we're going to vote on it. So here's the question. The question is, does everybody get to vote on it? Yes and no. Okay? The yes is simply this. We have people who are members, have gone through the membership process. They are official members. You guys get to vote on this next week as well. Those of you who are not official members, but still consider this part of your spiritual community, you get to vote on this as well. What's going to happen, and I think we talked about this last time, is in the event that when the membership votes, that this is not a clear one way or the other vote, we're going to take everybody's into account, because whether you're an official member or not, this is still your spiritual home, and you get to have a say. Okay? You get to have a say. I believe that's fair. I believe that's keeping us in integrity with our bylaws, at the same time honoring all the years that many of you have been here, as in your physical presence, in your financial presence as well. So that's what's going to happen next week. It's not going to be a complicated vote about this. Okay? We will have, we have membership rolls. We'll have them printed out. We'll have people check off when to come in. We've done this before at annual meetings. It's not going to be complicated. We're not going to have any closed secretive ballots. I mean, this might be just a show of hands vote. Okay? We're gonna, or not. Wow. Wow, easy, folks. Easy. Hello, easy. 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 Okay. So we'll explore a few options around that. Yes, of course we're gonna tell people. We're gonna tell people. I don't know. We're gonna answer that question, but we'll get back to you on that one. Do you have to be physically here to vote? Okay, we will get back to you on that. Board gets to decide that. Okay, we will get back on that. Yes.
I can't be here, but I would like to vote.
What's that?
I have a free plan for next weekend.
Okay, so again, everybody take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Okay, everybody take a breath. Take a breath. Hands down. Let's just take a breath. Take a breath. Okay, all right. We will make it so that everyone's voice is heard. Okay, We will make it so that everyone's voice is heard. We will tell people that it's happening. Okay? Everyone breathe. What?
How will we do that? Are we going to send out an email? Are we going to send out a contact?
Yeah,
Are we going to put it on Facebook? How are we going to?
we will communicate the way we've always communicated with everyone that's ever walked in this place. Okay? We have many ways of communicating. Email, we got social media. We're going to notify people. Okay? All right? So, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Okay? So, it is 12:15. I'm not going to take any more questions now or comments. If you do have something to share with us, the four of us will be up here for a few more minutes. Tina, our board president, these two guys, myself, we'll be up here for a few more minutes. Okay? But I think it's time to release us all into the wild. Okay? We're gonna do a pray out. We're gonna do a quick pray out. Okay. Go ahead.
One more thing, food for thought while everybody's thinking about this. The real estate market is cyclical. We all probably see that the peak is upon us, pricing-wise. If we are to sell, now is the time to probably get it listed. I'm looking at full circle, and then potentially rent a little while with the nest egg that's going to result from the sale, and maybe be able to buy something 24 to 36 months down the road when the market has troughed. We cashed out at the peak. Food for thought.
And folks, let me invite you into this week. You heard a lot of stuff today. There's a lot of feelings about it, okay? Don't make any rash decisions about anything, about how you think you're going to vote or not vote in the next 2 days. Observe your feelings. Observe the attachments. Observe whether there's resistance to this. Observe anything that is less than a joyful feeling around this. Please take the time to observe it. Meditate on it. Ask the deeper questions. Why am I not feeling great about this option? You're not feeling great because there is some fear there. What's the fear around? Okay? It's that simple. What is the fear around? And is the thought around the fear that I have in alignment with the spiritual truth of what I know is and who we are? Ask yourself this question. Okay? I'm okay with your feelings coming up now. We're human beings, that's what's going to happen. But that's what we do with feelings. Okay? Is it possible that we could quickly make a circle and join hands? Yes. Let's do that. I will. Go all the way. Okay, folks on this side, head to the wall. Head to the wall. Head to the wall. All the way to the wall. Keith, can you and Mickey grab Bob's hands, please? There we go. All right, I want to invite you to look around this circle. Okay? Look at the people, look at the faces. This is unity on the river. This has always been unity on the river. This will always be unity on the river. Okay? Doesn't matter if we are in this building or we're in another building. Doesn't matter if we pitch a tent on the field. Doesn't matter if we meet in a riverboat. That would be cool, but it doesn't matter if we meet in a riverboat. We are unity on the river. We intentionally chose our 25th anniversary theme to say, I am unity on the river, because that's what I want you guys to walk home with after this meeting. Affirm that I am unity on the river, not this building, okay? Not the debt we are in, not the money we can make. Each of us is unity on the river. And from that place, we can make the best choices. And we can argue semantics of how do we vote, when do we vote, who do we vote. We can do all of that. But remember the truth beyond that. Trust in oneness. Trust each other. Trust that whether you are here to vote or not, whether it's set up that you can be and your vote didn't get counted or you didn't hear about it till 2 weeks from now, trust. Trust in the collective consciousness of this place to make the highest and best decision with the people who show up. Trust. Do not be afraid. Trust. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Go to your heart space. Remember the affirmation from our meditation earlier today. We are divine, we are abundant. And our divinity and our abundance is not limited to 4 walls and the location of those 4 walls. Our divinity and our abundance is so much bigger than we have begun to tap into. It's not defined by numbers. It's not defined by our attachment. It is defined by our ever-evolving consciousness, our ever-opening heart, and the love that we share with each other. That is who we are. We've been gifted with an opportunity before us. And gifts are no good unless we open them. I am so grateful for all those who have come before us in this moment of this community. I am grateful for all those who will come after us. And most of all, I'm grateful for each and every one of you standing in this circle right now who have said that, yes, this is my community. I am unity on the river. And I will do and be, mostly be, the highest and best expression of the divine, no matter where I am. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen and amen. Go be abundant, folks. Thank you. Oh, by the way, we would love if some of you would start stacking some chairs, stack them in piles of 5 or 6, and we're going to start wheeling them out. Just start stacking chairs around you. Stack 5 or 6, we're going to get some dollies, we're going to start moving chairs. Thank you all. Stack a chair. Stack a chair.
Yeah.